Well, we are going to go ahead and get started here. Thank you so much for attending this live webinar here. My name is Brooks Burnett from Remodel Reach Marketing. We're going to go ahead and dive right in. If you have questions at any time during this presentation, please go ahead and leave them in the Q&A section down at the bottom of the screen. You should see that button there, and you will be allowed to or we will address those questions rather at the end of the meeting, but you're welcome to put them in there whenever you have them, so that way you don't forget. So again, this webinar is going to be all about a guide for Google Maps in 2026. Okay, so as home remodeling contractors, what can you do? How is remodeling different for Google Maps? Is remodeling different? Are the standards different? And so we're going to talk about everything that you need to know in order to rank at the top of the map section. Last month, our webinar was on just general SEO, so organic rankings and working on your organic rankings there. This month, we're going to be tackling Google Maps. So let's go ahead and dive in here. Okay, so what are Google Maps, or what is Google Maps? So all of us know, right? We all know what Google Maps are. It's what most of the people who go to the front page of Google looking for a service, that's where they go, right? For a local business of some kind, then they will most likely go to the Google Maps section. So it is absolutely crucial that you are ranking at the top of Google and at the top of Google Maps. And so, but the reason why you want to rank at the top of Google Maps is a little bit different than what you might already be familiar with, right? So Google Maps are good at so Google Maps is good at generating calls, generating leads, and generating more eyeballs, and so it's good to rank at the top of Google Maps there, or for that reason. But another consequence, another super important reason why you want to rank at the top there is because people's minds just over time have kind of been accustomed to seeing some of the most reputable businesses at the top of Google. So most people just kind of automatically think, hey, this person or this business is ranking at the top of Google. They must be doing something right. So they attribute authority, knowledge, trustworthiness to the businesses that are ranking at the top, whether it's the organic section right underneath the map section, or if it's the map section itself. If you are a business who is ranking at the top of Google, then your authority will be displayed on the front page. Your people will attribute authority. They will attribute knowledge to your company just for ranking at the top. And so it's very, very important to rank at the top. And I'm getting kind of ahead of myself here. But again, most selections are made on the first page of Google, the map, or on the maps listing. So not just on the first page, but in the maps section itself, right? And why would they do that? Or why is that the case? Well, because just from the little information that we have here, that is enough for most people to make a suggestion, or make a selection rather, right? So you see the amount of reviews, the number of reviews, you see where the business is located, you see their information. Sometimes you get, a little bit of a blurb, like for this example, it says like family owned and operated, and that kind of thing. And so that is something that a lot of businesses or a lot of people take into consideration. They look at this information and get a very general idea of what the company is, and they make a selection right there, or at least they make a selection in terms of clicking onto your website, giving that business a call, and just taking that initial first step with that business there. Okay. And so again, most importantly, it improves your authority when you rank at the top of Google, whether it's through advertising or through search engine optimization or showing up in the maps section. It improves the trust of your business in the eyes of your searchers. And so We definitely want to have that. So the mission of my company, just a quick section here. The mission of my company is to make our clients, our remodeling clients, online presence match and reflect the same craftsmanship and professionalism that they put into their projects every single day, right? So you have a great remodeling business. You do incredible before and afters, incredible projects, and they're beautiful pieces of, bathroom remodeling and kitchen remodeling and all these different things. And so we want your online presence to reflect that with a good, professional, luxurious website with top of the line SEO, with paid ads and other things that we do. So that is ultimately the goal and kind of the bigger picture here of what you need to do in order to grow your business online. And so why should you listen to me? Well, so I own an agency that is only for remodeling contractors. And so I've been in the digital marketing industry for about 7 years. I'm a member of some of the nation's biggest remodeling associations. And so more than happy to help you guys out. And let's dive in. So to understand SEO, we must first understand Google itself. Let me move my screen here, my picture here. So we must first understand Google itself. So unfortunately, Google does not really care about you. They don't really care about me. They only care about their searchers. Okay, so Google, their number one priority are people that come to the website, come to google.com and type into the search bar, right? They search for anything. That is who Google cares about the most. And so we have to understand that Google has the searcher in mind rather than the vendor in mind. Okay, now obviously if you're advertising and giving Google money, that's a different story. But in terms of SEO and really in terms of the ads themselves, of everything involving vendors like us, people who are selling the service, Google cares about their searchers. And so why does that matter? Well, when determining who to rank at the top of Google Maps, the organic section, the advertising, any section on Google, they ask the question, who is going to pick up the phone? What business is going to pick up the phone, and what business is going to provide the service that they're searching for, that this person is searching for? Who's going to do those things? Who's going to provide the service? Who's going to answer the phone? Who's going to be a good search result? Okay. And so in turn, our job is to give Google evidence that you will do that you will answer the phone, you will provide the service, and you'll do a good job. So we have to give Google the evidence that you will do that. And so we do that through your Google business profile. Okay. We do that through telling Google, getting good reviews and posting lots of pictures and posting updates and correcting the information on your Google business profile. So Google takes a look at your profile, your Google business profile, and uses that information to determine, hey, we're going to rank this business up at the top. And this business is going in the 5th position. This business is going in the 100th position. And so they use the information that you tell them in order to rank your business, right? And so you have to take consistent action on your Google business profile in order to see good results. And so what do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look here and let's talk about that. Okay, so hopping over to an example right here. This is one of our clients here. And so, so again, I typed in home remodeling and the town that they're located in, right? And so Google then determines, whenever I type that in, what business is going to be the best option, okay, is going to provide the best result, right? And so again, what do they use in order to make that assumption and to make that selection? Well, they come to your Google business profile and ask the question, when is the last time this business got a review? When's the last time they upload a picture on Google, right? When's the last time they replied to a review? When's the last time that this business corrected and fixed and updated their information? When's the last time they posted an update? So what's essentially like a Facebook post, right? With pictures and other information about the business. When's the last time they did anything and took action and took an initiative on their Google business profile? That's what Google is looking for. So imagine this. Think about this. You've got two businesses. Business A over here. This is a business that's been around for a long time, but they haven't gotten a review on Google in 3 years. They haven't made a post or updated their pictures in 4 years. They haven't done anything. They haven't really touched their Google business profile in 3 years, and so they haven't really done anything in a long time. Well, Google doesn't know if that business is going to pick up the phone. They don't know if they're still active and still around, is still a functioning business. But then you have business B over here that got a review yesterday, that uploaded their pictures last week, has a consistent uploading schedule where they're uploading a post once a week. And so they know that business B is going to answer the phone. They are currently actively doing the service because they're getting reviews of people talking about their services. And so that is the business that they are going to rank every single time. Okay, business B. And so that's the same idea here. So on your Google business profile, you have to take initiative. You have to get reviews. You have to upload pictures consistently. Not all at once, right? Not just dumping 100 pictures in and calling it a day. You have to upload pictures every week, once a week at least. And then you have to make sure your information is correct, right? And so it's really not that difficult. It just is time consuming and just takes a little bit of, planning and structuring and just a few things like that. But it's really not that difficult. So jumping right back over to our slideshow here, going to be jumping back and forth. So let's keep going here. And so again, in better understanding Google has something called ranking factors. And so a ranking factor is something that Google takes into consideration when ranking one business over another. So it's a factor that they consider when determining who goes in the first position, second, third, fourth, and so on and so forth. And so there are a lot of them. There's like literally 100 ranking factors for both organic rankings and Google Maps rankings. And so, but your job and our job as SEO specialists is to do as many of those things as possible, so that way you rank at the top there. Some things you cannot change. Okay, some things you cannot change. For example, your address, right? Your business address. If you're located, so I'm outside of Atlanta, I live about an hour outside of Atlanta. And so if you live outside of the major city that you work in, but your business address is like 30, 45 minutes away from that location, that you're not going to be able to change that. Okay, so you're not going to be able to, create a fake address or something like that. Just keep in mind, some of these factors you can't really do anything about, but there are things that you can do. So for example, instead of marking your business as a physical address, you can mark it as a service area business, is what Google calls it. And you list out all the areas that you serve. And so there's a lot of things that you can do to help with that, but just be aware of that. There's some things that you can't really change. And so, but a lot of these ranking factors are things that we've covered, right, already. So getting reviews, replying to reviews, getting reviews that have pictures, right? We're going to talk a little bit more about reviews here in a little bit, but those are all ranking factors. Uploading pictures consistently, no incorrect information, all of the information filled out, your address, your phone number, when your business started, a bio, on your business, on your profile. So all of those things are ranking factors that Google takes a look at when ranking your business or ranking the businesses in your area. And so this brings us to one of the principles of your Google business profile and ranking at the top, which is consistency. Okay, so consistency in terms of your posts, your reviews, your pictures, the information, replying to the reviews, everything that you do on your profile, you can't just do it once. You need to do it once a week at least. Okay, so the people who do these things consistently, who upload pictures, who upload images or posts like the Facebook posts, people who get reviews, reply to the reviews, and do all these things that we're mentioning consistently over time, week over week, they're the ones who Google rewards. You will climb up the rankings through these methods here, okay, and doing them consistently. All right. So let's see here. So again, we took a look at a couple of examples of posts here. So these are like posts, just a picture and a description, essentially like a Facebook post, right? And so it's very easy to do. When you go into your Google business profile, you can click the button that says add an update. Google calls them updates. And so, they're essentially like a Facebook post. You can post a video, you can post a picture, and then a little bit of a description. Do that once a week. Do that once a week, please. And that will help with your rankings there on the maps section. So speaking of consistency, another thing that's very important that a lot of people overlook is that the information that you give Google needs to be consistent as well. Okay, so what does that mean? So if you have one phone number on your website and a different phone number on your Facebook account and a different phone number on your Google business profile, that is not good. Google wants you to be consistent. They will probably flag your account and suspend it if they see something like that, right? If they see a website or a different address that's on your website compared to your Google business profile, they see information that's not correct or inconsistent on your profile versus your website and other social media platforms. And so that can really hurt your rankings. So just make sure that your information is consistent across all platforms online, and they will start to rank your website there as well. So consistency, kind of falls into two categories. So being consistent with your posting, reviews, replying to the reviews, all of that good stuff, and being consistent in terms of, having consistent information across the internet, right? Across the online sphere and your online presence there. So another quick thing here, another principle that Google takes into consideration is authenticity. So basically just don't put anything fake online. Don't upload stock images. Don't upload, fake videos, right? Don't purchase reviews. You can do that, right? I mean, you can purchase, pay people to come and leave reviews, but Google can see where and the location of the reviewer, right? They can see that information. And so they don't do it all the time, they don't catch everything, but they can flag your account for fraud, or spam, whatever they call it. But so I just would avoid that altogether and just get authentic reviews. If you're doing good work and you have happy customers, especially in the remodeling industry, since you're working with people, for months at a time, potentially, you should be able to get them to leave you a review. And so, but again, we're going to talk about reviews here in a second. So keep all of your information truthful and consistent. Don't label any I don't know why you would do this, but like don't write any services in your Google business profile when you choose the different services that you don't actually do. Just don't do that. Just be consistent, be truthful in all of your uploads and everything that you do on your Google business profile. Google will reward you for that. And so let's talk about Google reviews here. So get as many Google reviews as possible. your remodeling business will thrive on Google if you get as many reviews as possible. Okay. I hope that you understand that, and that's something that I push all the time on these webinars here. So a couple of different things here. So try to encourage long reviews. Okay. So someone leaving a 5-star is good, but someone who leaves a 5-star plus an explanation of the services you did is way, 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 way better. Okay. And then also a step further would be someone uploading their own pictures plus a long review, right? A long response. So all of these things will help you to rank and go up the rankings. So the way to encourage these long responses is, instead of saying, hey, can you go leave us a review? Say something like, can you go leave us a review and tell others about your experience with us? Or tell others what you thought about working with us. Something like that's prompting them to leave a detailed review. Tell others about the service that we did for you, things like that. And so you have to ask. It is a numbers game, right? You ask 10 people, chances are 2 of them are going to leave a review. I hear it all the time. I've had clients that say, oh yeah, everyone will leave us a review, and then only about 2 to 3% do, right? And that's just how it is. That's just how it works, right? And so we just kind of have to understand that. And the more you ask, the more people will leave the review. Okay. And so now, what about negative reviews? So there's a couple of things that you can do for negative reviews. Hopefully you don't encounter them very often, but there are a couple things you can do. So number 1, reply to the review and be calm. Okay. So you can go reply to the review. You will be prompted when you get a review to reply to it. And so reply to the review and be polite. Say, I apologize for the inconvenience, whatever their specific issue is, apologize for it, and then work with them. Say like, hey, we will reach out to you. We will work this out. We will do whatever we need to, customer's always right kind of thing. And so the reason why you want to do that, but you also want to, another thing, you also want to explain your side of the story. Okay, so explain if there were delays or something, explain why those delays happened without getting into too much detail, because your replies are public. Okay, so anyone who sees that negative review, they will be able to see your reply. And most importantly, the reviewer cannot go back and add another reply, right? They can't respond to your reply, at least as of right now. And so the reason why that's so important is because you can have the final word. You can explain your side of the story and, correct any issue that the person had. If they were wrong about something or whatever, you can put that information in there, and they can't reply to the review and say like, oh, well, I still have a problem with this or blah, 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 so you can kind of get the final word in, and you can just kind of show everyone that, hey, you're easy to work with. And so people appreciate that. Even when there's a negative review, when the owner replies and says like, hey, I apologize. We apologize for this. We're going to make this right. We're going to make sure that you're happy. People do respond well to that. And so do that. Now, also, I would recommend doing pretty much all of these things, right? So reply to the review no matter what, contact the person and ask them to remove it, right? So if that means going and fixing, it's up to you to determine how valuable you find a review. I think they're extremely valuable. And so, if it's nothing too crazy or out of the realm of possibility, then contact them and ask them to remove it. Do what they say, or what they're asking in order for them to remove it, because they can go in and remove the review. Okay, that is possible. It's not set in stone, right? If it is not legitimate, if it's a disgruntled former employee, then you can ask Google to take it down. Google will remove, illegitimate reviews, but it has to be illegitimate. It cannot be, just a real review that you just want someone to take, or you just want Google to take down. They will not. Okay. They will not take it down because they care about their searchers. And so if there is a business that's actually doing a lot of bad stuff and shady business and all that, and they're getting a lot of negative reviews, Google is not going to, they ain't going to help that business owner. If all else fails, bury it. Okay. If you have 50 reviews that are all 5 stars and you get one negative review, that's 1 star, let's just say, you will probably not see any effect on your 5-star rating, most likely. Okay. If you get more than one negative review, then yeah, it'll probably go down to like 4.9, 4.8 stars, something like that. But all you can do is bury it with more positive reviews. So reply to the review, ask them to remove it. If not, bury it. Get more reviews, more positive reviews. So, so how do you get more reviews? So you can ask in person, right? Obviously, you can ask in person, but this is a very unreliable way to get reviews because every single person that you work with will say, "Yeah, great, I'll leave you a review. Yeah, yeah, yeah." Then they don't. Then they don't. And so you have to be prepared. If you are going to ask in person, you have to be prepared with something in hand that they can leave the review right then and there. Okay. And so what we do and what we create, I don't really have one with me here, but I do have something. We create little QR codes. This is not one of the cards. But I'm just using it so I can just kind of show you. So, we create these kind of like business card things for our clients, and they're branded, they're colorful, they match the business, and they're thick, and they're nice, but they have a QR code on them, and so the person can scan the QR code, takes them directly to the review page. They can leave the review there. So that's one way to do it. There's also like the metal cards where you just hold your phone up and tap onto the metal card, or just hold it near it and it opens up the page. That's pretty professional. Those can be unreliable though. I've heard some mixed opinions about those. And so, but just if you're going to ask in person, have something ready. Have something ready for them, or pull it up yourself. Yeah, well, you can't really do that, but just have something ready for them to leave the review. So you can use an automated system. Okay, you can use both. You can have an automated system ready. So so an automated system is something like we use something called Nice Job. So Nice Job is a review automation tool, and it can connect to QuickBooks. It can connect to a lot of different CRMs, and so that way, when a job is done or marked complete, or however you do it, it will send out an automated request to that customer. And so that works fairly well also. And so really all you're trying to do is just make it easy. Make it easy for the person to leave the review. So when you go and you ask someone to leave the review, you're not making it easy on them. They have to go open up their phone, go type in your business, go find your Google business profile, go find the review link, type in the review there. That's not that many steps, and that's not that hard. But in today's day and age, when you're asking someone to do this, then yes, it is hard. Okay. And so just think about how many people leave the reviews that you ask. So you're trying to make it as simple and easy as possible. So try and think proactively on how you might want to ask for your customers' reviews. Okay. But moral of the story, get more, get as many as you can. Okay. And so now very quickly, here's how you go and get a review link. So you go to google.com, make sure you are signed into the account for your business. Okay. So if whatever the account is located in, make sure you're signed into that account. You're going to click on the box of dots there, and then you're going to see the blue business business icon. If you're logged into the correct account, you will see that there. So you click on that, and then that will pull you up into this section here. And so there's a couple of things that we're looking at here. And so this is where you edit your profile, edit all of the information once you're into your account. And so this boxed out section here, this is where you add the pictures. You upload your pictures there. That's essentially like your Facebook posts. And so you click on that, and it will prompt you to upload a picture. And so, but to leave a review, you go to this button right here that says ask for reviews. That will then pull up this box right here that lists out other reviews and things like that. And so then you click on get more reviews, and that will then give you give you the link to your Google business profile. So then you can take that link and do whatever you want with it, right? You can attach it to the QR code, you can attach it to your invoices, you can attach it anywhere you want, right? And so that's how you do that. Very simple. So very, very quickly again, log into Google, sign into the account, make sure you're signed in, click on the box of dots and the Google business profile icon, click on that. That will open up your profile where you can make edits. And then you're going to click on ask for reviews. And then that will open up this section here where you click on get more reviews. And so that will then give you the link. So in conclusion, make sure your content, your reviews, replies, all of your info are consistent, authentic, and transparent. You're being truthful with your customers. You're doing all these things consistently. You will rank at the top of Google if you do these things here. So thank you so much for watching. And for those of you who attended live here, it is our Q&A session time here. And so, again, in conclusion, we'll go ahead and move on to that Q&A session time here. And if you have any questions moving forward, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much for attending. For those of you watching the replay, thank you again for watching as well. And we will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much and have a good rest of your day.